Hello, world. Welcome to episode 33 of the podcast Monitor app. Last time we we got all the secrets for the from the developer account for the Twitter profile that we have, and did the prototyping of save them into these secrets here, authenticated, and we're able to send tweets, send reply tweets, and read the timeline. So this time we're going to wrap it up into a class that'll just kind of make it a little easier for us to use and a way for us to make changes or account for changes that are made elsewhere later. So let's get started, and I'm going to create, we'll say, we'll just call it Twitter. And so let's open this up, and we'll come in here, and we'll copy this in. We're going to want to create a class Twitter here, and the constructor for that. So instead of what we're going to do is we can do two things, right? So we can either pass in the secrets upon creation of this, or we can or else we could just take them from here, since they're from the privates folder anyway, right? Like this is the only kind of one that's going to be using it, but what if we have another Twitter account that we kind of want to like link to or something? It's probably best to do this, but we could, let's just do this here. So we'll come in here, and set it up like that. So now we basically just need to save this. This is the one thing, the self.api. And then we're going to have a method tweet, and you're going to send it message, and that just then becomes self.api.update status message. We can get rid of that there. And then we'll have tweet, and we'll want to have something that can basically do the read portion of it. So we could say, something like read or get tweets. I guess we'll do get tweets and self. We're just doing our timeline here. So that is all we technically need to do. So here we'll do tweets equals api.user self.api.user timeline. And the one other thing we can do is we can have the count equals count, and which is the default anyway for it. So. And then the thing is, we only really care about the IDs and the text here. So we could say return, so we can make this a tuple. You know, we could put it to a class, but at least for now, this is probably going to be fine. And we'll return the tweet.id, tweet.text for tweet in tweets. So that takes care of this, and it's the last one is this reply. So we could say def. Now we could put it into the tweet, right? Because it is still just a tweet itself. So we could say, oh hey, you know, if you are actually, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to call this send tweet, right? Because I want to have something that just sends a tweet, and you can't overload them, right? It'd be great if I could say tweet, and if you give it a message, it does that. But if you give it, say, if you say tweet, and you say self dot ID or message and ID, right? If you did that, and this was also called tweet, Python can't handle that. It will just because you can't do the method overriding with it. So we'll do it this way. The other thing I think that'd be interesting is, I guess if you're just going to tweet here, you don't need to do the send tweet, right? So we could say, okay, you're not really going to call that. And the question is, do we ever really need to do get tweets, or do we only care about that if what we're tweeting is in response to something? I guess we do care about that because we're not going to have the logic in there for this. But the other thing, so we can have ID, say equal, or no, it's over here. ID equals none, and then we'll also have match. So that is also none. Okay, so why am I doing this, right? So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to say if not ID and not match, we're just going to call send tweet with the message. If ID, we're going to call... Okay, hold on. So let me check out this real quick. So if I do self.api.update status, this is probably none. So let's do, we'll say ID int equals none. And here we'll go in reply to status ID equals ID. We'll call it reply ID instead. Here. Make that easy to see. So now we can, hopefully this will work, so we'll have to test that out, but, and then if we're tweeting here, send tweet, so we can basically always send the ID, because if there is no ID, then that should hopefully handle it fine. So we can say if not match self dot send tweet g reply ID. Put that there. Okay. However, if there is a match string, basically what we want to do is we're going to get tweets so we'll say self.getTweets here, and for this, and we'll say for ID text in tweets. I guess we can just we'll do matching tweets equals ID text for ID text in tweets if match in text. And then we can say for ID in matching tweets self dot send tweet. And message and reply ID equals ID. So basically, right, if there is no, if we, or just want to send a tweet, we just give it the message. If we want to reply to one, and we know the ID of what we want to reply to, we can do that. If we want to try to find a tweet, we can basically call the get tweets, get our recent tweets, and find any that have in their text what we're matching against, and then basically loop through those and reply to them. So that's basically everything. So let's try this out. So we'll go to back into the prototype code here, and we can get rid of this and this. And so we're going to say from Twitter import Twitter equals Twitter secrets, and don't need any of that anymore. So now let's just try it. So let's say Twitter dot, we'll just do, well, I guess let's just do tweet, right? So we'll do Twitter dot tweet hi from Twitter class. All right, and let's see if this works. So I'll run it. All right, so we get an error. Require string. Oh. So what we'll do is we'll say, and then we need to say, so well, I guess if not match, do that. Otherwise, do this. Or we could just say return. We could say if not match, send tweet and return. But that's also fine because it's just one clause. So fix that. All right. Status is a duplicate. Oh, because it already sent it. So it did send the tweet. So it had no issues with that. And it did send the tweet, but then it ran into this second portion of which you didn't want it to do. So, and that's the other thing, right? So, and I don't know if this is just true in general, but if you have the exact same status, you can't send the tweet there. So, for example, I think this is the case where I can't. Let's try this. Let's try the reply tweet +1 because it was not an actual reply tweet. So we'll copy this. What's that? And let's see if we can send this as a tweet. Alright, so it looks like that was fine. So let's refresh this. Oh, well, I guess I'm not showing it, so I need to show it. So yeah, so it because it wasn't the most recent status and our status was this, quote unquote, right? So the way it operates is essentially it's like, okay, this is your current status. So our current status was this, which is why when we ran it again, it failed because it had already tweeted it out the first time and then had an error. And then it can update it to this reply tweet status. So that's cool. Okay, so now we know we can do the, gotta remember to keep switching back. So we know we can do the tweet with the message. I guess what we should do is we should return the IDs in case they're wanted, right? So here we'll return a list, and this will be, we'll do this same thing. And this is where maybe we should, create like a Twitter class to kind of hold all that, but we can refactor that in later. So here we're basically just going to want to send, so we'll say response equals, so here for when we send a tweet, we need to return the response, which is, that's interesting, I guess. So here, let's try, I'm going to do this. I'm going to say, I'm not going to return, well, that's fine. That can be that for now. What I'm going to do is response equals this, and I want to, let's print the type of response. I'm going to have to go back and I'm going to have to delete all these tweets. So we'll just tweet test. All right, and let's see. So the type is tweepy.models.status. So it's this class. So we should be able to do that because we have Tweepy here. So we should be able to say tweepy.models.status. Let's see. Status. And change that to something else. And let's see if it gives us an error. Nope. Okay. So we can do that. So we can say like that's what we're returning. The other thing I'm curious about is, can we say tuple int, well, technically it returns a list. Tuple int string, well, 1. So I don't know if this sort of thing, so we do self.get tweets. Let's check that out real quick. So we'll say in here, Python 3 indicate return type list of strings. Let's see what this says. Okay, so yeah, so I guess that is the correct way to do this. Okay. So, over here again. All right, so that's good. So here we're returning, if we're getting tweets, we're returning a list which contains a tuple with an int and a string. So that's good, and this is good, and nothing's currently complaining, which is also good. Okay, so we'll get rid of this, and we'll just return the response. When we get tweets, we're returning that as we wanted, and so now here we have the response for this, and we're going to return a list with a single tuple, response dot ID, response dot text, and it's going to be the same return type here. And this is where it's like, oh, well, okay, this would be nice if we just had like a list of tweets, right? Even though it kind of says I might complain about that, but I guess we'll see. I think it's probably might have to do with the import thing. So, okay, and so now if we do 3 and we say print, and now we run it, tuple expected, at most one argument got 2. Okay, so now it does seem to care about let's go back to the search, and we'll say return type tuple this looks like it's a decent. Okay. Oh, I probably need to use any of these brackets, most likely. I didn't do that. I was using parentheses, and then I think I was expecting like an actual thing. So let's do that. And we'll update this one. Now, I don't, did it send it? Let me check if it sent the tweet. We have just one. All right, so it didn't actually send the tweet, so. Perfect. All right, and so now we have the ID that we're getting back. And so, for example, if you were to be doing this and you were to say, okay, hey, tweet this, right? I can ignore it, or I can also get that as the response, and then I can always then say, okay, so now let me reply to this one. So I'm going to say twitter.tweet reply, and that's the ID. Okay, so now basically it should still not match, but now it'll pass the actual one. And now unexpected parameter in reply status. Was it in reply 2? In reply 2 status ID. Alright, make sure that reply is not out there. Oh no, so it did send it. So interestingly, it did send it, but it didn't send it in a reply to anything, right? Which, because it didn't understand what it was, so it just sent it as that. So we'll come back in here, we'll say actual reply. And now run it. Alright, and we didn't print it out, so. But if we come over here and we check it out, we'll see we got test 3, actual reply. So the reply is also working. So now we just got to check out the match portion, and we also have to check out this get tweets portion. So let's do the get tweets first. So we'll say print Twitter dot get tweets, and we'll just do 3. Run that, and that looks pretty good. In fact, that should, because we already have the test 3. This ID matches, so we're good there. Alright, so we can do that, and now we need to just fix up this matching portion of it for the return type, right? So for this, can I put this in a list comprehension? If I say return, no, well, no, not really. What I want to really say is, yeah, I'll just do it in a normal loop. So we'll do here. And we'll do ret.append, or we'll say response equals this, ret.append response.id response.text. And then return it. And we don't need the else anymore because we're returning up there anyway. So you can just come down here and do that. Okay, and so let's try it out. So we'll say print Twitter dot Twitter dot tweet, and I'm gonna reply to this first one here. And this is the thing, right? So I could reply to multiple tweets at once, but so first let's start with this. So we'll go here and we'll say we'll do match equals hello world, or no, that's I did this backwards. We're gonna tweet out hello world again, and the match that we're gonna tweet to is going to be this. And that should just do 1. Did you mean send tweet? Yes, I did. Cool. So this was the response we got from it. And if we check over here, we refresh, we'll see hi from the Twitter class that we did earlier, responded with hello world again. now let's send and we have that one response there. So let's try, and now let's just send multiple responses. So now we have a hello world that we sent last time. We have this hello world that we sent yesterday, and then we have these hello world again. So we're gonna reply to both of those at once. So we'll say print Twitter.tweet double reply match equals hello world, and we will run that, and no errors. I was able to tweet to both. And let's just check out our timelines. We'll refresh. And so we have 19 seconds ago and 18 seconds ago, which makes sense because it went through the timeline. And so we found this one first because it was the newest one, and then this one, and then it responded to both of them. So perfect. We now have all this stuff kind of nicely in there that we can now call on, so we can basically tweet a reply to a specific ID or tweet a reply to some sort of text, right? So the way I'm kind of thinking about it is, okay, well, I'll probably reply to like I might have like a main tweet that says these are all the podcasts that are out, and then I might reply to it with like more information about the podcast and stuff. And that main tweet, if let's say we start with like, oh, these are the podcasts that are out today, it would probably start with something like, oh, for today, and give like the date, and then all I need to do is basically say, hey, match this, because it's just looking at my timeline, and it's really just going to send it to that one most recent one. And then we don't need to worry. We don't actually need to kind of care about externally. We don't actually kind of need to care about anything but this tweet. So maybe, in fact, even instead of doing the Twitter, like the tweet class here with this, and maybe not even returning things here with the response, maybe we'll just keep everything in here, because that's really all you need to do, right? You just call tweet, and we can, and in fact, then we can remove the reply ID from here, because you're just sending a match. So honestly, I think I might do that refactor, because we can always come back and add in all this stuff later. So I think I'm going to end up going that route to keep it really simple. It'll kind of knock out a lot of the complexity in here. So we want to go actually git add, because we have a new file, git commit -m, created Twitter class to wrap Tweepy and prototyped. And well, we'll just say test it out. All right, and so we'll git tag ep33. All right, so I'm not going to close out the deliverable just yet. I'm going to do a refactor on this next time, and then we'll basically kind of be not just done with the prototyping, but we'll have an actual kind of class built out of this stuff that we can kind of use to tweet. So all we'll have to do is then basically take the filter, right? So from here, we'll add in the Twitter class, and basically, we'll just we're basically just adding in two types of logic. We're adding the logic that'll formulate what we're tweeting, and we'll add and which is similarly, we'll add the logic of like what we want to kind of look up and filter. And so, and we gotta clean up the Twitter timeline. So we'll do that. And so until next time, see ya.